What's up, guys? Welcome to Sean's Automotive YouTube channel. For those of you that have followed me over here from Motion Auto TV, I really want to say that I appreciate you guys more than you know. Means a lot. You know, I haven't even put a video out yet, and there's over 1,000 subscribers here, so that means a lot to me. I really appreciate that. For those of you guys who don't know who I am, my name is Sean. I'm starting the channel here, Sean's Automotive. Basically, I was working with Trevor at Motion Auto TV for the last 2.5 years or so. Really good friend of mine. We did a lot of cool builds, built a lot of cool stuff. And, you know, over time, I wanted to do my own thing, man. You know, nothing against Trevor. You know, I've known Trevor for years. He's my boy. He'll always be my boy. You know, I'd do anything for him. He'd do anything for me. But I kind of wanted to take this into my own hands and see where things went if I jumped into it on my own. So here we are. Thank you guys again for watching. Obviously, you know, this is the first video that I've actually made for the channel. So bear with me. I'm kind of getting the hang of everything. Obviously, when I was working there with Motion Auto, I was just kind of more or less the mechanic. I didn't really have anything to do with the video side of things, you know, editing, taking the videos. There was a few times I did, but it's really new to me. I'm trying to get the hang of everything, so bear with me along the way. But again, I do want to say I really appreciate you guys here, and I'm very excited to see where all this goes. And things can only go up from here. So thanks for watching, guys. Let's get into today's video. So I'm still kind of in the process of figuring out exactly what everything here is going to look like. Obviously, I want to know your guys' opinion and your guys' 2 cents on things you guys like to see. Obviously, you know, it's automotive related. This is Sean's Automotive YouTube channel. A lot of stuff that I have here in the garage behind me that I'm sure you see. There's a lot of motorcycles, 3-wheelers, 4-wheelers, dirt bikes, stuff like that. I'll get into that here shortly. But, you know, let me know what you guys would like to see. Obviously, coming from the, you know, Motion Auto background, a lot of performance stuff and things of that nature. Here, this is my house. So this is basically my garage, my shop, if you will. I kind of took it over, the whole thing. You know, this is what I use for my everyday activities, whether I'm messing with motorcycles, dirt bikes, 4-wheelers, whatever that may be. Or obviously, you know, there's the lift in the back. A lot of automotive stuff goes on here too. I'm really curious to see where this goes, man. I'm very excited, and I very much so appreciate you guys being here. So while we're at it, basically, let's get into some things that I have going on here, kind of explain what I do with them. And, you know, you guys can tell me what you think about this type of content or these type of things that we're doing in the videos. If you guys like them, if you don't like them, if there's something else you'd like to see. Obviously, like I was saying, you know, I do have a small business automotive repair shop. So that's what I do most of the time when I'm not doing this kind of stuff here I'm going to get to here in a minute. So there's going to be, you know, all this type of content. There's going to be automotive content, whether it's fixing a car for myself and flipping it, whether it's fixing a customer's car, whether it's, you know, driving 100 miles away to go pick up a truckload of 4-wheelers or dirt bikes. But let's kind of get into what I have going on here behind me and explain to you guys what this is all about here. So basically, here, this is a 2004 Honda CRF 450R. So I actually just bought this thing 2 or 3 days ago now. I was on Marketplace at like 1 in the morning and just happened to scroll across this thing. Some guy was selling it. He was moving from a place with a garage, without a garage, and he had to sell it in order to move. So this was like kind of the last big thing he had to get rid of. And I got a smoking deal on it. Runs good, runs great actually. Had a valve cover leak when I bought it. Kind of still does. Basically what happened was the guy did some motor work to it, put the valve cover back on, and the gasket was not fully seated inside of the valve cover. So it was just basically spewing oil out of there. I did fix it, but since it was mashed down and it wasn't seated how it was supposed to, kind of messed the gasket up. So I actually have one in the mail. It should be here tomorrow. That is something else we can get you down the road. This right here, 1974 Honda CT Trail 90, moped slash motorcycle slash bicycle slash whatever you want to call it. Super cool. Obviously, I'm sure, you know, some of these viewers on here that are, you know, a little older than I am, I guess probably remember riding these or having these or seeing these as a kid. Super awesome. I got this for a smoking good deal with that thing right there. I bought these at the same time. We'll get there shortly. But I'm trying to figure out plans with this thing. I don't know if I'm going to restore it. Probably not. It's in very good condition. So actually what I'm going to do is find the few parts that it needs. Obviously, you can see this this airbox here. It's kind of, I don't know if it was just from heat or what, but it's kind of, you know, it's melted or got hot or something over time, so it doesn't really fit right. But this thing should run. The previous owner had it for a bunch of years sitting in his garage, said it ran when it was parked, so I'm gonna pull the carb off, throw some gas at it, and see what happens. So there's that one. This right here, this is a 2002 Yamaha YFS 200 Blaster. So it's a 200cc two-stroke. Bought this thing for $100 actually about a year or so ago. Obviously it didn't look like this. You know, it was sitting outside some guy's backyard for quite a while. It was pretty raggedy and torn up. So I basically disassembled this whole thing. The frame has all been powder coated, aftermarket front A-arms, you know, bash bar, new tires. I powder coated the wheels. I have the motors actually. So the motors are sitting over here, are, you know, several motors, but obviously one of these is going to end up in that Blaster. We'll get to this stuff later as well. This right here, 1985 Honda ATC 250 ES Big Red. It's a shaft drive, three-wheeler, 250cc with reverse. Super cool, man. Super awesome utility vehicle, whether you want to ride them and have some fun, whether you want to, you know, use it around your house or your property or your farm, and has a trailer hitch. You know, these things were really cool. I think, you know, I don't know exactly the years they started making three-wheelers. It was early 70s until late 80s, I believe. And then they kind of got more or less outlawed from what I understand because of the danger of them, or people were getting hurt, falling off of them. Kids are riding them. They're not very stable, obviously, being a three-wheeler. But this one was actually sitting in a guy's garage for years. You know, obviously, you know, you see the seats kind of torn up. That's kind of a given with these things. It's hard to find them without torn up seats, especially if they've been used. But the rest of it's all there. You know, it runs great. It drives great. I basically picked it up, cleaned the tank out, fresh gas, fresh battery, pressure washed it, fires right up. I ride it around all the time. The kids ride it around. It's pretty fun. I don't know what my plans with this are exactly yet. Obviously, it's not going to be torn apart or anything. And it's in too good of shape to, you know, part out or, you know, even restored, honestly. So this thing's pretty cool. This right here, I picked up a few weeks back. Obviously, it's pretty tired. It's been sitting in a field for years. This is a 83 YTM 200K Yamaha. They also obviously got in and started making three-wheelers alongside Honda, which I don't think Yamaha made them for quite as long as Honda did, though. So that is one thing I need to figure out what I'm doing with, which I will get to shortly with you guys and kind of see where you guys think I should go with it. As far as, you know, part out, restore, who knows? We'll see where that goes. This is a 73, 74 Kawasaki 125 two-stroke. Basically kind of like an enduro style motorcycle. Bought this out of a semi-trailer some guy had about an hour away from me not too long ago. I've been acquiring a bunch of stuff, and honestly, I don't even know why. I do know why, but I don't know why, but I'll also get to that. This right here, a 96 YZF 600R Yamaha. Basically the Thundercat, I think is what these are called or were called. It's pretty torn down now. Obviously, it's just, you know, basically the fairings are off, headlights off, you know, that seat's kind of just sitting on there. I do have all the stuff sitting over there, right there. That's basically the rest of the parts for that bike. Not sure what I'm gonna do with that quite yet. Obviously, is pretty much that, you know, follows suit with the rest of the stuff. This thing, let's see, I have a little cheat sheet right here. It's an 85 Honda CB450. Actually a pretty cool bike. I think people still build these things and turn them into bobbers and stuff, but that's definitely, obviously, as you see, that's the remaining of what I have of that bike, basically how I got it. I'm missing a whole bunch of stuff, you know, tank, fenders, seat, all that stuff. So that's obviously a parts bike. That's going to be torn down and basically sell what we can and get rid of the rest. This guy right here, 88 Kawasaki Vulcan 1500cc. Missing all kinds of stuff. I'll tell you what, this is a big, heavy bike and it has no handlebars, and it is not fun to try and move around. I will tell you that. Also, moving over here, this is, I don't know the year because as you see, so here's a small, it's like a short VIN number, but also the sticker that would normally have the year on it, obviously. So this is a Suzuki GS 750. They made this model from 76 to 78 as far as I know. And again, missing a whole bunch of stuff, you know, basically just a frame with, you know, forks and a motor and some wheels. Not much to do with that. This is an 09 Yamaha TTR 50. That thing's been sitting in my garage for like the last year and a half or 2 years. You know, I got a good deal on it from some guy that I bought a go-kart from actually. And he told me it needed some engine work. I honestly haven't even messed with it since I bought it. It's just been sitting there, leaking a little bit of oil over time. So I'm not sure with that either. This is my most recent purchase with, it was kind of a weird deal. So this is an 84 Honda ATC 200X. That's an 250EX. So obviously this is a little smaller here, but this is more of their sporty version of trike. Obviously it's not the 250R, which was like the 2-stroke race version, but this is, you know, kind of getting as close to you can as that being a 4-stroke. So this was a 200cc, obviously Honda made, you know, 3-wheel trike, 3-wheeler. And long story short, so I saw, I made a posting on Craigslist, and I was basically, you know, it was a wanted post for 3-wheelers or motorcycles or 4-wheelers. And I specifically kind of said in the ad that I you know, don't want any Chinese 4-wheelers or Chinese mopeds or none of that stuff. But definitely interested in Hondas and Honda 3-wheelers. So I got a call from a guy. He had this thing, that thing, that thing, and that thing, as well as a bunch of other wheels and tires and junk and stuff. And he wanted one price for one thing, or he wanted one price for all of it. So, you know, me being the guy that I am, obviously I said, I'll take all of it. So as you've seen, if you follow Junkyard Dave, he actually uploaded a video just a few days ago where him and I actually went to about an hour east of town here, and we picked up that with these 3 motorcycles as well as 2 Honda Civics. And we will get to those Civics in another video. Moving along, so these are basically the last 2 bikes that I have here in the garage as of now. So it's a pretty cool story on these actually. So I bought these a few months back. This is what started this whole thing right here. Literally, these 2 bikes. Other than the Blaster, you know, I've had the Blaster for a while because came across that in some guy's backyard. He actually had a bunch of free scrap metal or something that I was picking up one day because he had a motorcycle he was giving away with that scrap metal. That was some Chinese piece of junk motorcycle. Anyways, saw that Blaster in his backyard, and again, it did not look like that at the time. But I asked him, I said, hey, you want to sell that thing? And he said, yeah. So paid $100 for it, and then that's where it sits. But anyways, back to these. So these are both 1985 Honda ATC 125Ms. So they are a 125cc 3-wheeler made by Honda in 85, obviously. They don't have reverse. They are pull start, I believe. No, pull start and electric start. I think these both have electric start options. So anyways, what's cool about these things is I bought them both from a guy at the same time that I don't know if he was necessarily the original owner, but he bought them from the original owner if not. And what's really cool about these things is my speculation is they were both basically on the assembly line right next to each other from Honda, and they have been together their whole entire life. The reason I say that is their VIN numbers are 2 numbers apart. Might be kind of hard to see here, but let's see. What is that? 2037 and 2035. And obviously all the other numbers before that, they all match. But that, I think, you know, to me, that is super cool. And obviously they're missing some parts. When I got them, they were both more or less complete, missing a few things. You know, I did sell the seats and the fenders off of them. For these years of these ATCs, the seat pans are actually metal. They're not plastic. And they bring really good money if they're in good shape. And these ones were both obviously in good shape, as well as the plastic fenders. So I did sell them. You know, I kind of regret the fact that I did that, just because of the fact that these are basically sister units that have been together their whole life. You know, I would have almost liked to restore these, you know, 100% restoration and put them back together how they should have been from the factory, you know, fresh paint, you know, new old stock tires if possible, which you still can't find, but they are pricey. But, you know, you live and you learn. So that's where these are at. And again, that's kind of where this whole thing started. And that's what I'm going to get into next after, you know, here's some other parts I got from that guy with the package deal with Dave the other day. So cool stuff, man. I love this stuff. You know, you never know what you're going to come across when you go to somebody's house, you know, buying stuff like this. I actually have another guy coming up here soon he reached out to me from that same Craigslist post, and all I can make of it is he's definitely an older gentleman. You know, he doesn't know anything about technology. You know, he has a bunch of stuff he wants me to go look at, but he can't send me pictures because he doesn't really know how. One of those deals. So that's going to be another video as well as soon as I have the time to make it out there. But basically, you're probably still sitting here asking yourself, like, what are you doing? Why do you have all this stuff? What's your plan? Good question. So these things right here, the two we were just talking about, that is what started everything. So years back, I did a little bit of stuff with eBay where, you know, even car stuff, you know, you buy a vehicle, it ends up not being what you thought it was, and you don't want to sell it and lose money, but you know there's some pretty decently expensive parts on there, parts that are worth some money. So buy the car, take parts off of it, list them on eBay, sell it, and make some money. Well, that's where those wound up. I found them for cheap, and that's why there's not parts on them, because basically I sold the stuff that's missing on there, and that's where all of this stuff came into play. So I said, wow, this is pretty cool. You know, you can take something, buy it for cheap, take a bunch of parts off of it, you know, double, triple, quadruple your money, sometimes more, sometimes less, just depends on what you get into and how much you get into it for. But that is why I started acquiring all this stuff. That is why I made a wanted ad. Obviously, I'm a gearhead at heart. I love working on cars. I love working on motorcycles. Anything that takes gas or takes diesel that has a motor on it, I love it. I live to work on that stuff, man. It's what I enjoy, and it's probably what I'll always do. So moving on, that is where all this stuff comes into play. And this is where I kind of want you guys to give me an idea of what you'd like to see and things you're interested in, you know. Obviously, a lot of the eBay stuff that I'm doing, which is pretty much everything from this yellow three-wheeler this way, these are all more or less going to be torn apart and parted out on eBay. That is at least the plan. That I may fix for my kids. Not sure yet. This thing I'm going back and forth on with restoring, basically ground up restoration. I have most of the parts, so obviously there's no motor in that frame. The motor for that thing sitting right there. So the guy I got it from basically said that, you know, it had low compression, so he started to pull it apart, kind of gave up on it, and here it sits in my garage now. Here's some other parts here. For that, you know, basically the sprocket cover and, you know, the CDI cover, stuff like that. And it's actually pretty cool because this exhaust, for those of you guys who know anything about these, that's an aftermarket exhaust, you know, that they sold obviously back in the 80s. I don't even know if that company's still around or not, but Cobra is the name. And that's not the OEM exhaust. That is an aftermarket exhaust that you would have bought back then to put on these trikes, which is kind of pretty cool that came with it too. They're not necessarily rare. They are worth a decent amount of money. You know, they're kind of sought after, but they're not super rare. So not sure if I'm going to part this thing out completely. Obviously, those fairings, I think those are Myers, which is actually like the best aftermarket fairings you can get, but they don't bring the money that the OEM fenders would get if they were in that shape. You know, seats shot. But believe it or not, just that plastic seat pan by itself is still worth some money, as well as everything else on this thing. So these things, you know, I honestly didn't even really want these things, any of these bikes, to be honest with you. But it was one of those things where I paid, you know, X amount of dollars for that thing by itself, or I paid the same amount for that thing and all these. So I was like, you know what? There has to be a few bucks here one way or another, no matter if it's in scrap or in parts. So those things I'm still doing some research on, looking at parts prices, you know, and from what I've seen so far, just kind of skimming over eBay, they all definitely have some valuable parts on them, whether, you know, it's small or not, but definitely make my 500 bucks back off of these in parts, whether I keep that or part that out. So this guy, this I bought from a friend on a whim. Don't know why I bought it. Don't know what my plans are with it. It's a more or less complete bike. It does run. From what he told me. I haven't heard it run personally because I haven't put a battery in it yet. The battery that's in there is actually gone. He kept it. It did have one that was dead, but he kept it. But again, I do have all the fairings and stuff for that, so I may put that back together and just try and sell it as like a rider or who knows, you know. Same thing with this thing. So this is actually more or less a complete bike. I think as far as I can tell, it's missing everything but the gas cap, which when I got there, we had the gas cap. The guy took it off to show me the tank. I got distracted looking at other stuff he had, and then neither one of us could find the gas cap for the next 10 minutes. So kind of funny story with that. But, you know, these things are pretty cool. It's like so this is I forget. I don't even know if I told you guys about this thing, but it's let's see. So I think these are basically considered like F6s. It's a 73. So this is a 73 Kawasaki 125 F6 is what they're classified as. Two-stroke bike, complete obviously. So it's all there. I think that would be a really cool bike to restore if it's worth it, you know, as far as money goes. So I need to look into that a little bit more. Same with this. So this is an 83 Yamaha 200cc three-wheeler. I really love the three-wheelers, but I for some reason, I'm more into the Honda ones, obviously. There's more of them, more parts available. There's a bigger network for them as opposed to these Yamahas. And these really aren't worth much money, I think, in comparison to the Hondas, depending on if you have a rare one or not. Yamaha made some of these that were two-strokes that are actually worth quite a bit of money, that are hard to find and sought after. These guys right here, so these are all Yamaha blaster frames. So basically, these are the bones of basically what that thing is right there. So all of these are ones that I have bought in the past and parted out. I still have some parts left. Obviously, some are still listed on eBay. The rest of what's left from those three frames right here, either the good parts I needed went on my blaster or they're over here. So here's, again, you know, there's a case. They're basically, you know, the bottom end of a motor. There's half of the bottom end of a motor. You know, cylinder jug, head, cylinder jug, head, cylinder jug, you know, bars and wiring harnesses and stuff like that, that's there, as well as the third blaster motor, some carbs, chains, you know, bolts and stuff, random. There's a brand new cylinder right there, random stuff. There's the other suspension components. There's a blaster seat. I still don't even know what that motor is. I got that with that stuff from that guy. So kind of like my parts hoard over here for the four-wheeler stuff, as well as stuff I use to work on cars, you know, obviously all my electronics, my electrical stuff, you know, nuts and bolts, whatever. But yeah, so anyways, enough rambling on. Moving forward, you know, obviously this is just the first video. So again, bear with me, guys. You know, I hope that the quality and the way the videos flow can get a lot better over time after I have some more experience with filming on my own, you know, editing on my own. I do have a friend that's going to help me do a little bit of editing. But obviously I want to learn how to do that myself so I can just, you know, take the reins and basically just do it all. So I look forward to learning everything and picking up all the stuff I need to get everything flowing like it should and make good content for you guys. So again, I will, you know, obviously this isn't going to be just a motorcycle or dirt bike or trike channel. It may turn into a lot of that because I am kind of very fond of these things and I do enjoy riding them, working on them, learning history about them. But there's obviously going to be a lot of automotive stuff too. There is a few cars in the backyard of my house that I bought the same day I picked up all those bikes that I do want to make a video on and talk to you guys and basically see what you guys think I should do with those. But yeah, you know, tell me what you guys think, man. This is where we're going to start. Are you interested in seeing basically the eBay side of things with teardown, with pricing, with cleaning, with listing? Obviously, you know, I won't get too monotonous with stuff like that. But, you know, like a time lapse of a full teardown of a 5-minute time lapse of a full teardown of a bike, or explaining, you know, what parts bring most value or stuff like that, what people are looking for. And so that's something we can do if that's something you guys like to see. Another thing, obviously, when I do go out on these adventures to buy these things, I think it's really cool to bring you guys along because you never know what you're going to find. It's always an adventure. So that's one other thing I will be doing as far as making videos where that's concerned. And then also, you know, vehicles. Anytime I bring something in here that, you know, has any substance to it as far as working on it goes and kind of bringing you guys with along the process, then we'll be doing that as well. I have some friends actually that want to get into, he was actually just here. It's almost 2 a.m. here where I'm at, but he actually just left my house. We spent the last 2 hours talking about doing something together with building something cool. He's into Hondas. He has a bunch of high horsepower Hondas and stuff. He also has a YouTube channel. I actually don't know the name or have the link yet, but once I do, I will put that in the description. But you know, he wants to get together, basically do something. I think he has a 600 horsepower K series, like a Frankenstein K series build, EK sedan. He's actually going to bring it over here tomorrow and get it on the lift and pull the transmission out of it because he has I think he wants to put an LSD in there. So that's something I'll record as well, and we'll kind of see where that goes. But again, you guys, you know, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for supporting me already from day one. It means a lot. You know, it means a lot that you guys want to come over here and see the stuff that I do, you know, not even behind the scenes now, but just for myself at my house. So I'll give you guys a quick walkthrough of the shop. You've pretty much already seen everything being on the video, but just kind of give you guys an idea. And then, let's see where this goes, man. I'm gonna spend as much time and effort as I possibly can on bringing you guys good content as well as good videos. Just bear with me and let's go. I'm excited to bring you guys along for the process. So before we end this thing real quick, so here is, let's see. Here's the shop setup, obviously. This is like a 3.5 car garage. It's, as I'm looking into the camera right now, it looks bigger in person, than it does on the phone necessarily. But that's a really long bay. That's obviously why the lift is there. Really long bay right there. So the sixth door is another thing that's definitely going to be a build on this channel. For those of you who have been asking and wondering, that is going to be like the main big build once I get that thing here. It's actually still at the shop, at Motion Auto Shop, so I'm going to bring that home here soon and start getting going on that. But yeah, so obviously there's plenty of room in here. If this thing didn't have all these motorcycles and stuff in here, we could definitely fit 3, maybe 4 smaller cars in here. But this is where all the work happens. Basically, this is where I bring all my personal stuff in, friend stuff, customers' cars, comes in here. If it needs to be on the lift, it goes up. If not, stays there. But I have all my tools and stuff. 80 or 60 gallon air compressor, engine hoist. Obviously the lift, press, MIG intake welder. As well as all my supplies and stuff. Coolant, oil. Paint, brake cleaner, degreaser, so on and so forth, as well as some other tools. So it's actually pretty cool too. So this right here, kind of a car. I've had this cart for a few years, but it works really well for my customer side of my stuff, basically. So bought this little Windows touchscreen laptop because I have a buddy who has ALLDATA basically, and he came and installed some ALLDATA for me. So I have ALLDATA and Mitchell. It goes up to like ALLDATA 15, I think, which for right now is fine. If I need anything newer, I will obviously get the subscription. Little mini fridge. You gotta have some drinks when you're working on cars. You guys know that. But I just recently got this Super 6 scanner too. This is like Alltel's Bluetooth. Basically the OBD2 port where in the car plugs in and it's Bluetooth, so you don't have the cable. You're not confined to sitting in the seat of the car when you're working on it. So that's basically Bluetooth, and it's really cool because it has all kinds of self-demand tests and whatnot. So you can basically plug it in, stand in the engine bay with the car running, and run all kinds of tests. So this thing, I'm super glad that I have this. It's awesome. Also, just recently, I think last night actually, so if this phone will work, the heater up there. So that was actually a Christmas present from my dad. It was a Big R special, but it actually works really well in here. So it is a 220 volt, basically, coils with a fan behind it, and it has a thermostat. So obviously it's off right now because it's kind of loud for the videos, but it has a thermostat on there, and you set it basically whatever temperature you want, and it'll stay running until it heats this place up to the temperature that you have. And it does a very good job. When I bought this house, there was no drywall or insulation on any of these walls except for the wall that is on the house side, obviously, which is right here, which is my laundry room. So me and a few friends, when we first bought the place, we put all insulation, all drywall. We had somebody come in and do the drywall mud work and stuff, and then we painted it. So this has actually came a long way. I'll see if I do have a picture of how it looked before so you guys can have an idea of that. But this is my first house, my wife's first house that we own. We bought it almost a year. It'll be a year ago in March. So super proud for me, especially coming from where I came from. For those of you who know, obviously, days prior to starting with Trevor, I just got out of prison, and that is another video that we can get into, or we may possibly do a live stream with a Q&A, or that's another thing that I want to do on this channel too, is a lot of live streams, not every day, not ridiculous amounts, but I think that'd be really cool. That way you guys can kind of see what the daily operations are and things that I do on a daily basis. Again, I kind of want your guys' opinion for what you guys want to see. Obviously, this video has been a lot of me just talking and a lot of me rambling, which, it's my first video for the channel. Kind of makes sense. I just kind of want to fill you guys in on everything I do. get an idea of what you guys are looking for. And, I'm excited to see all the comments. I'm excited to see what you guys are looking for and what you guys want to do and what you guys want to see from this channel. And I will be as responsive as I can, and I will be as engaged with you guys as I'm able to as well. But yeah, I want to say again, thank you guys very much, and let's see where this takes us.